This is a short lesson on dependent subjunctives with a focus on result clauses. Result clauses are also called consecutive clauses. Consecutive meaning following or following up on, like a consequence. These clauses show the consequence or the result of an action. So something happens and then something else happens as a consequence, consecutive, or as a result. They are adverbial clauses of result. They are adverbial clauses because they answer a question asked by an adverb. And the adverb we're asking here is how. And we're answering the question, how. And the answer to a question that it starts with how will be an adverb. How are you doing? You don't say good because good is an adjective. You say well because well is an adverb. I am doing well. I am well. So result clauses in Latin will usually be tipped off by tantus in the main clause, talis tale, tot, adeo, ita, sic, or tam. You don't have to have these words in the main clause, but most result clauses do. So tantus that more or less stands in for tam magnus, so big, so great, so large. It is correlative, as in it correlates to quantus. Quantus is the interrogative and is answered by tantus. Quantus means how much, how big, how great. We get the English word quantity, which has to do with number, size. How big, how great. This is answered by tantus. Quantus and tantus. Quantus and tantus. How big? Tantus. So big. How great? So great. Same thing with talis tale. It is correlative with the interrogative qualis quale. Of what quality or of what kind? How is it? What's its quality? How is its quality or character? Such a quality, talis. Such a character, qualis talis. And then we have tot, which means so many. And its correlative, quote, which is the interrogative, how many? How many are something? Adverbial, how big, how, of what kind, how quality, how many. So many, of such a kind or quality, so great. So these correspond to this. This is how I remember these. These answer these. And they're answered adverbially. How big, how great, how many. Adeo means to such a degree. Ita and sic both mean thus or so. And tam can modify an adjective meaning so. Do not put tam with magnus, so great, tam magnus, that's just tantus. But tam longus, so long, tam latus, so wide. So these result clauses, they're adverbial because they answer the question how. Let me show you. Tantus fuit Caesaris exercitus. Now here, stop. This is the introductory part. This is the main clause. This is the main part of our sentence. It introduces the dependent subjunctive clause. Ut nemo prohibere eum posset. So when you see tantus a talis tale tot adeo ita sic or tam in the main clause, that should be a tip-off that this is probably going to be a result clause. So tantus fuit Caesaris exercitus, so great, so large was Caesar's army. Caesar's army was so big, was so large. And then that is asking or begging, screaming, how, quantus, how big, how large was the army of Caesar? Caesar's army was so big, how big was it? And that how, that question, how big was it, has to be answered by an adverb. That's why these are adverbial clauses. Caesar's army was so large, so great, ut, with the result that, so that, nemo, no one was able to hinder, to stop it, meaning the army. Caesar's army was so great, quantus, tantus, how great, how big, how large was it? Answer, a result clause, an adverbial clause. It's like one big adverb, with the result that no one was able to hinder or stop it. These result clauses are introduced by ut for the positive, ut known for the negative, and that is different from purpose clauses. Purpose clauses are introduced by ut for the positive, ne for the negative. Result clauses, the Romans felt, were closer to the indicative because they show potential, so the negative is known. The Romans felt that purpose clauses were closer to the optative, wishing part of the subjunctive. That's more unreal and therefore uses ne. So result clauses use ut for the positive and ut known for the negative. So, sunt tot naves in flumine. There are currently, right now, present tense, tot naves, so many ships in the river. And that is screaming to be asked, quote naves, how many ships are in the river? Ut aqua videri non posset, with the result that the water is not able, non posset, ut non, is not able, videri, to be seen. That's a lot of ships. Once again, result clauses do follow sequence of tenses, but you're not going to get the prior action. You can go ahead and try it out, but you're not going to be able to get either a perfect subjunctive or a pluperfect subjunctive. It just doesn't work. You can only talk about result clauses with contemporaneous or subsequent actions. You can't go prior. So result clauses do not have the full sequence of tenses. I am also often asked, how do I tell the difference between a result clause and a purpose clause? Mostly it's due through context. Result clauses will usually have a tantus, talis, tot, adeo, ita, sic, tam. Somewhere in the main introductory clause, there's tantus, there's tot. It doesn't have to though. And I found an example in which it does not. Puer humi est de lapsus, ut crus frangeret. So the boy slipped on the ground so as his leg broke, meaning with the result that his leg broke. The boy fell on the ground so as his leg broke, with the result that his leg broke. It wouldn't make any sense if this were a purpose clause. I mean, I guess it could make sense, but we want to get this boy some more help than just fixing his leg. So the boy slipped on the ground for the purpose of his leg breaking. That doesn't really make too much sense. The result clause shows a potential action. What's the result of this? The boy slipped on the ground, and the result of the boy slipping on the ground was that his leg broke. So this is the result of this. This is the consequence of this. Boy slips, leg breaks. If this were a purpose clause, this would be the boy's wish, will, or desire, the end outcome of this. So the boy slipped on the ground for the purpose of his leg breaking. And that's kind of odd. So really, it's about context. You're going to have to think about this a little bit. But really, I haven't come across many instances in my reading of Latin where I've legitimately been confused about whether I'm looking at a purpose clause or a result clause. Also remember that a purpose clause will be introduced by either ut or ne, and a result clause will be introduced by ut non for the negative.